Boy, we have some developments in the playoff picture. A lot of winning, a lot of losing. But at least now we got an idea who might be in the playoffs. All that coming up. Let's talk football! All right. Thank you for listening to the Let's Talk Football podcast, episode 19. I am your host, John Behrens.
And I'm Joshua Perkins.
Okay. Whoa. What a weekend, huh?
What a weekend.
So where did we start? Okay, I'll tell you where we start. Dallas at Indianapolis. What did I tell you last week?
Oh, Dallas, just the inconsistency. And I knew this was going to be one of these games where Dallas was going to trip up. They on the 5-game win streak. They rode a lot of momentum. And a lot of people, they want to say Dallas is going to ride a lot of momentum. Stephen A. Smith said it best. See, when Dallas makes, they have those big wins like they had against New Orleans Saints, and they're on that 5-game win streak. When stuff like that happens, the expectations go up to where Dallas cannot meet those expectations that are set for them.
Yeah, I mean, Dak Prescott, whether you're a super Dallas fan or not, he's got limitations, okay? Yes, I get that Amari Cooper has definitely given Dallas a number one threat that they haven't had in quite some time. But still, it's Dak Prescott. He's not that good of a throwing quarterback.
He's not.
If you're going to want to win with Dallas, you've got to build around Prescott. Get guys that can, kind of cover up his weaknesses a little bit better than just one guy. Because now,
they also have Ezekiel Elliott, who's, he has over 1,000 yards, I believe, rushing and receiving this season. I believe.
Well,
I'm not mistaken.
I was watching Colin Cowherd today, and he made the statement that they're 6-0 when Ezekiel Elliott has 20 or more touches.
There's your formula right there. I don't know why Jason Garrett wants to stall.
I don't know. I guess they're just trying to establish some sort of a passing game, which you kind of do need if you want to have long-term playoff success. But at the same time, your strength is not the passing game. It just isn't.
But while we're on this game, let's shift gears to the Colts.
Yeah, the Colts. They're playing so well right now.
And they've won their last 7 out of 8 games. I'm going to be honest. If I'm in the AFC, I think the Colts will be the last team that I want to play. Just due to how, Andrew Luck has found his group. Eric Ebron has over 10 touchdowns this season with the Colts. Marlon Mack has found his stride at running back. Not only that defense is led by rookie linebacker Darius Leonard, who was a second-round pick out of South Carolina State. It's just these guys, they're young, they're aggressive, and they're hungry, and I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the Colts beatdown in playoffs if I played against the Colts. To be honest.
And they shut out the Dallas Cowboys for the first time since 2014.
That's not too long ago. That's only a few years ago.
Still, if in a football sense, it is.
True.
This Colts team, like I said last week, my pick for the team that could surprise everyone and go on a serious run and come January is
the Colts.
Is Indianapolis.
And people are starting to take notice. What better way to end a team's 5-game winning streak than to just shut them out and force them to lay a goose egg on the scoreboard?
My thoughts were originally shifting in the direction of Houston, and it's very possible that they very well could end up coming out of the AFC. They are a very, very good team. Their defense is improved. It's always been their strength, but it was kind of a little down last year.
And DeAndre Hopkins, he's doing the original stuff that he's always been doing.
But Houston actually has a quarterback now. Deshaun Watson is phenomenal. He just is. But
to be honest, he was probably my rookie of the year before he got injured last season.
Oh, without a doubt, he had 19 touchdowns in 5 games. That was just stupid. that's stupid, ridiculous.
And it seemed that in the beginning of the season we were seeing a lot of field rust from Deshaun Watson. Being out with injury and finally be back on the field with his teammates. But it seems that now He's found his groove. He's got his confidence, and it's just these Texans are on the same page.
But the Colts beat them last week, so
it just shows that the Colts they're probably more prone to make a run than the Texans probably. I mean,
and the other team that I see is like being really potentially dangerous come playoff time out of the AFC would be Baltimore. They were already a good team towards the start of the season. They hit a little snag, but they are a better team with Lamar Jackson at quarterback.
It just adds versatility to their offense. I mean, Lamar Jackson. You're looking at a guy. I mean, he's a dual threat quarterback. He does need to develop more as far as his passing if he wants to achieve longevity as a NFL franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
But I mean, what they're doing right now. I mean, John Harbaugh. He's pretty much is like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
So with the running game, I just feel it adds just more versatility, adds another dimension to that offense, and I think the Baltimore Ravens have found their Army Swiss knife, and that's Lamar Jackson.
You mean Swiss Army knife?
Swiss Army knife. I mean, didn't I say Swiss Army knife?
No, you said Army Swiss knife.
Shut up.
So yeah, are they over there cutting Swiss cheese?
They cutting defenses like Swiss cheese. Baltimore put up over 200 yards rushing like this past weekend.
Yeah.
Of course they cut them like Swiss cheese. See how I defended that? See how I just turn around now? Anyways, we digress.
Okay. So, because I don't have faith in Pittsburgh. I don't have faith in Kansas City's defense.
I don't have faith in New England.
I don't have faith in New England. The only team I'm forgetting right now is the Chargers.
It seems that a lot of people are trying to forget the Chargers because, I mean, you look at how both the Chargers and Chiefs started the season out. And, I mean, the Chiefs were undefeated for the longest until they had lost to New England, and then they had lost to L.A. And the Chargers, it just seems that the Chargers came out of nowhere under the leadership of Anthony Lynn, who's pretty much going to be Coach of the Year this season after the turnaround that he's done since taking over this Chargers team. And, I mean, I kind of saw this turnaround late last season, and it just seems that the Chargers picked up from where they left off last season. Now, they do need to have, they do need to be more healthy because, I mean, Melvin Gordon, he's suffering from injury. Keenan Allen suffered from injury. And it's just they need to be more healthy if they want to make a run in these playoffs.
Yeah. The funny thing is, and I didn't really think about this, but I heard this. I can't remember who was talking about it. I want to say it was ESPN Radio. And they were talking about the potential of the Chargers actually securing the number one seed, which if they win out and KC loses one more, that's very possible. But Chargers are averaging a home crowd of around 35,000.
Which means, I mean, if they do clinch home field advantage, I mean, it probably won't be much home field as it is.
That's not home field advantage. That is home field sadness.
Versus the NFC, because I mean, in the playoffs through, and here's a stat: since Sean Payton and Drew Brees linked up, since they came together in 2005 to 2006, around after Katrina, they've been, and when it came to playing at home in the playoffs, they're undefeated at home in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It's because of that Superdome.
Mm-hmm.
By next weekend, that Carolina game would probably be their last road game until the Super Bowl, if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, the Carolina game this weekend was in Carolina. Their next two,
right? I'm just saying. I'm saying, like I was saying, that weekend they had against Carolina last night can possibly just be their last road game.
Right, until Atlanta. I would say it's Matt Moscona who said this, or said, I'm paraphrasing. But it's kind of interesting about the Los Angeles Chargers is that they moved from San Diego, a small market where everybody in the city loves them, to a big market where nobody really cares.
I mean, honestly, after the Rams moved from St. Louis to L.A., which I feel that was a pretty good move for them. I feel it was a smart move for the Rams organization. But I still couldn't wrap my head to why the Chargers left San Diego, a city that they showered them with love. I mean, that was a team that everybody wanted to come out and see. And whenever the Chargers had a home game, imagine if the Chargers got, number 1 seed home field advantage. If they were in San Diego, that would be a completely different story. That's home field advantage because you have a lot of passionate fans. There are fans who beg the Chargers to stay in San Diego because there's a lot of passionate fans out there.
Yeah, I mean, the move from San Diego didn't make sense. And I'll be honest, the Raiders leaving Oakland doesn't make sense either.
It doesn't. I mean, why would you go to Las Vegas?
Now,
I mean,
they're always talking about teams moving. And well, the Rams leaving St. Louis made more sense than the other 2 moves. I mean, the Rams just didn't have that great of a following. And hadn't really had a great following in St. Louis after the greatest show on turf.
I mean, no.
Then again, they haven't had that much to really root for when you consider the Jeff Fisher days and before that Mike Martz.
And so like the move to LA, it was more like a give this franchise a new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And no, that it was kind of like give the city of Los Angeles the old days back when they had the old Los Angeles Rams, It was just, giving LA a football team. But the Chargers moving, I just felt that was just a little too much by the owner.
No, I mean, the Chargers moving didn't make sense, and Raiders moving doesn't make any sense. Especially the Raiders. The Raiders have one of the more passionate fan bases in the NFL.
And they've been in Oakland for the longest. So, I mean, going just to Las Vegas, you're just abandoning, probably, like you said, probably like in my opinion, probably top 5 as far as most passionate fan bases in the league.
Las Vegas is close enough to where you might have some of that fan base follow them out there, but the majority of them are going to stay behind.
I mean, I feel that once they get to Las Vegas, I don't see much of it like the Raiders generating much of a fan base out there in Las Vegas. I just feel that the move is just completely and totally whack.
Yeah,
and I feel that the move to Las Vegas, I feel that's what's triggering John Gruden to kind of dismantle this team a little bit. He's breaking them down just to build them back up. And I felt if the Raiders would have kept in their mind that they were going to go ahead and stay in Oakland, I feel they would probably still been able to keep Khalil Mack, and they would still been able to keep Amari Cooper and Bruce Irvin. Into where the Raiders would kind of be more of a well-oiled machine by now, and not in this 3-11, sluggish predicament. And then now they stuck with, I want to say 3 first-round picks, and so pretty much John Gruden is left in a position to roll the dice and pretty much gamble on a couple of his picks.
Well, with San Francisco's win. Kind of feels weird saying is that winning's a bad thing.
Don't sleep on Nick Mullins.
That pretty much puts Oakland and Arizona in the driver's seat for the number 1 pick, and I guess swing over there. Arizona's bad, dude.
They are horrible.
They are pretty bad.
You go up against one of the most wounded teams in the NFC, which is the Atlanta Falcons, because you got to look at it, they lost one of their top secondary guys in I want to say it was Keanu Neal, who got hurt first game of the season. Deion Jones, I believe he just came back from injury. They lose 2 of their offensive guards. You're looking at a wounded team. They also lost Devontae Freeman to injury. And you still give up 40 points. Gosh. And you still only hang,
12.
14.
Was it 14?
It was 14 points.
It's 14?
Yeah.
I thought it was 12, but okay. Oh, Lord. And, I was just reading an article about the inconsistency of Josh Rosen. It was like, okay, well, you stuck him on a team that has just Larry Fitzgerald and not really anybody else. 2, the defense is a shell of what it used to be. 3, you got a brand new spanking head coach who, we still don't know what he's going to ultimately be. I always say you have to give a head coach at least 3 years to really gauge the type of head coach they're going to be. They're just in a really bad situation right now.
It's really bad. But, they have a golden opportunity next Sunday as they go against the L.A. Rams. You know what? I'm not gonna even just stun. Rams are going to destroy them this weekend. And the Rams, I think they're a 14-point favorite against the Cardinals this weekend coming up. I believe. Honestly, I have the Rams as at least a 17-point favorite over the Cardinals this weekend. I mean, forget the rivalry. They're in the same division. Nah, hush your mouth. If you think that the Cardinals are going to put up some type of fight just because, they're division rivals and it's late in the season, they're playing for pride, all the Cardinals really have is Larry Fitzgerald. So if you're going to that game, you might as well just go ahead and just sit back, relax, get your paper bag, get your beer, get your food, and just watch the Cardinals get beat down. Cause
remember when the Cardinals had one of the best offenses in the league?
I remember with Carson Palmer.
Well, not even.
It was with Carson Palmer, right? No, Kurt Warner.
Yeah, I was talking about Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner.
And Larry Fitzgerald, Antoine Bolton.
I remember that offense. I kind of missed those days, kind of. I also like how Kurt Warner got thrown around by the Saints in the divisional round, the playoffs. Remember the year the Saints won the Super Bowl, like 45-14 divisional round? Poor Kurt Warner.
Dude, Kurt Warner got destroyed in that game.
Yeah.
On that last play that he was in there on, Bobby McCray just flatlined him.
I saw that play.
Yeah.
I actually watched it.
But anyway, I digress. That's a little bit of distraction. So we had, what else did we have this weekend? Saints.
The Minnesota offense turns over a new leaf after having an interim offensive coordinator. They go from how many points they put up against Seattle on Monday night of last week was like 7 or 14 points.
Yeah, something like that.
To putting up 41 points on a Miami team coming fresh off a victory against New England. And Coach Zimmer said it, he put a lot of emphasis on it that he wanted to focus more on the run. Well, the interim offensive coordinator focused more on their run by feeding Dalvin Cook. And that Minnesota offense put up 41 points. And I feel that Minnesota is starting to, but they have new life. And it really shows their potential and what they're capable of. And I feel that this offensive coordinator, it's kind of early to say, but I feel like he could be full-time offensive coordinator going into next season. And with Kirk Cousins on his deal, he can probably bring Kirk Cousins to the next level.
Well, you're kind of stuck with Kirk Cousins right now.
3 years, $84 million, unless you want to buy him out, which I don't see the Vikings doing.
All guaranteed, 100% guaranteed. That is a lot, sir.
That's a ton. We know what I do with $84 million? Everything. Anyways, I digress from that.
Let's see what else. We had Monday Night Football last night. Saints and the Panthers. Goodness. Talk about nothing but defense, man.
That was a true defensive battle. I'm watching that game, and it seemed that if the Saints made defensive stop, Carolina, matched it, or even outdone it. And while it's more impressive it's just, all right, I'm not a Carolina fan, but I gotta say, I love watching Luke Kuechly play. I love watching him run a defense, being that field general that he is on that defense, and how he directs his players and how he makes the plays. And I was watching some interviews from some players who went up against Luke Kuechly, and they say Luke Kuechly, he calls out your play before you even run it. And I gotta be like, how can he do that every single time? And so, good thing they had him mic'd up on the Monday Night mic, and that's what he was doing. He was calling out formations. He was calling out plays. He is directing his players, and he puts his teammates at the right place in the right times.
So I was listening to it. I was at work for that game, and ironically, both teams turned the ball over inside the 5-yard line. Is like the halves were winding down. You had Eli Apple's interception to Cam Newton.
Then you had Tommy Lee Lewis fumbling the ball in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Inside the last 2 minutes of the ball. That was just kind of weird. So
it just shows. I feel that it just shows that the tough competition between these two teams every time they link up, and I felt like last night was completely physical. These two teams went at it. And it's obvious they don't like each other. these two teams were completely. I mean, it was nothing but physicality on that field, and I feel that physicality is going to. The ante is going to be put up on the physicality in Week 17 when Carolina comes to town. And I feel that that game's going to be a lot more physical than how it was last night, to be honest.
More physical than last night? Last night's game was pretty physical, dude.
It was pretty physical, but I mean, who wants to be swept by division rivals 2 years in a row?
True that.
That's
okay.
my thing.
All right, I'll give you that. So, surprisingly, the 49ers beat the Seattle Seahawks in overtime by field goal.
First win over the Seahawks since 2013. First 49ers win over Seahawks since Week 14, 2013.
Huh. I mean, I knew it. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The more you know.
That's a wow. Wow. Okay, but how did the Seahawks end up losing? That's the thing. Okay, I mean, I give credit. Yeah, this kid Nick Mullen is certainly better than I think most people expected. Especially seeing how he kind of came in quietly, and then now it's like, okay, well,
he was undrafted out of Southern Miss, and they started him off on the practice squad, and he just basically worked his way up, and Jimmy G went down, then C.J. Beathard, he came in, wasn't really producing to standard, and they put in Nick Mullen. C.J. Beathard had got hurt, and they saw how Nick Mullen played, and Nick Mullen just stayed there. And, I mean, I feel that, Nick Mullen could be a quarterback that can, kind of be on the chopping block for maybe a trade, probably a deal, to where they can get him to a team that truly needs a quarterback.
Okay. Another thing was Patriots and Steelers. That game was just kind of a wash.
Steelers, that was a good check victory for the Steelers.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it takes an interception of Tom Brady in the red zone in order to seal it. So once again, it came down to the fourth quarter. In fact, the last drive of the game, last play of the game.
Well, I mean, you got to look at it. Patriots and Steelers, they always go at it against each other every single time they link up. And so, of course, it was going to be a physical battle. It was going to go down to the last drive. I mean, that's how it was last season when the game was at Heinz Field. And so, I mean, can you blame it?
I feel like it's just a matchup between two teams that are ultimately playing at a rather disappointing level.
True, because, I mean, last year you looked at pretty much, at that time of last year's game, you were looking at probably the top two teams in the AFC. Now we're looking at two teams that are uncharacteristically going to be settling for the wild card. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say for the Steelers uncharacteristically settling for a wild card because I've seen them in the wild card, but with the Patriots, for the first time in probably in my memory, like first time in memory, I mean, since I've been alive, they're probably going to be wild cards, which is kind of weird to me.
Well, they're not going to be a wild card. They're going to be division champs without question. But they're not going to have a bye week, I think is what you're getting at.
They're not going to get a first round bye,
which they haven't had one. I want to say since.
No, you got to look at it.
2009.
3rd through 6th is wild card. First and second get first round bye. They play in the divisional round. 3 through 6 playing the wild card. So the Patriots can be division champs all they want, but they're still going to be in the wild card.
They'll get a game in Foxborough, but it won't be.
It'll be in the wild card round.
The wild card round. But they have. This will be the first time that they haven't had a bye week since 2009.
Well, to be honest, I mean the Patriots, they always compete hard. And, I mean this is always a team that you don't want to go against, because considering the fact you're going against Tom Brady, you're going against one of the best of all time, and so though the Patriots they're most likely going to be having to settle for a wild card. Still, this is a team that can still possibly make a deep run in the playoffs this season. And, well, at least until they meet up with Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium, or they meet up with the L.A. Chargers, in which, I mean, L.A. Chargers, they probably care less at how many people come to their games because they dominate either way it goes. Just saying.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's like what everybody has been saying. I mean, they're always going like Tom versus time. Well, time's catching up to Tom.
I think time is right on Tom's heels
this is
right
not
now.
the same Tom Brady.
You see, the Tom Brady of old would have not made those throws Sunday evening against the Steelers. Those throws that he was messing up, that he was missing, old Tom wouldn't have missed those throws. See, the Tom Brady of old, younger Tom Brady, he would have thrown a touchdown on that drive. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I believe so. That would have been a touchdown even last year. But, I mean, some people want to think of Tom Brady as Superman. It's like, no, time will catch up with everybody.
I mean, even Tom's going to catch up with Drew Brees, too.
I know.
Tom caught up with Peyton Manning, and he hit him hard, too.
Time catches up with everyone, but it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Breeze is going to play forever. No, he probably has 1, maybe 2 more years left.
That's true.
Well, playing at an elite level.
Once
once you hit 40, once you go over 40, most quarterbacks have a very sharp drop off not long after that. Only a handful of players can continue to perform at high level after 40, and those are typically kickers and punters.
Also, here's something. I want to ask you this. I want you to take a wild guess as to how old Adam Vinatieri is.
46.
You got around the head. I thought you was going to go ahead and get it wrong, and I was going to go ahead and blow your mind with it.
No, I already knew.
Don't you have wife and kids that want to appreciate your time too? You 46 and still playing. What have you been spending your money on to where you guys stay in the league this long? But I've all serious. I feel that Adam Vinatieri. I mean, he is.
You know what's funny?
Yeah,
is Vinatieri can actually. He shows no sign of losing any of his kick. He's still.
He is showing a lot of gray though.
Yeah, he is.
Did you see all the gray hair that's on him?
Martin Anderson had the goal of playing till 50, so Adam Vinatieri might actually do that.
He might actually, because Vinatieri, he's still kicking. I mean, the way he's been kicking his entire career in the NFL. Them kicks that have brought the Lombardi Trophy home to Foxborough. I mean, the kicks that he's done for the Colts over the years. I mean, he's not losing a single step in his game.
I don't know much about his family life, but you play till 50, you almost like you're still playing by the time your kids are graduating college.
And you know how awkward it would be to be like, "Hey, Dad, my college graduation is on this day. Sorry, son, I have a Thursday night football game." But Dad, look, son. Extra points and field goals are more important than your degree. Baby, like, Daddy, I have a soccer game today. Sorry, little angel. I have a game too. But you're 50. I don't care. I have a game too.
It's about the Lombardi.
Good Lord.
That silver football is more important to me than your graduation.
I don't think he goes that far.
But... Anyway, kind of to wrap the NFL part up. Dude. What about
the Rams losing to the Eagles?
Rams losing to the Eagles. Yeah. 2 in a row. Losing to Chicago at Soldiers Field. Did not surprise me.
Didn't surprise me. But losing at the Coliseum at home.
To a beat up Eagles team.
Mainly a beat up secondary. And
still, you could not pass. They fell behind by 17, and then Philadelphia pretty much just held on for dear life.
And I saw a meme with Nick Foles, and it's like Nick Foles on the phone, and the caption was basically like he was talking to his wife. The caption was, "Babe, it's that time of year again. It's happening again. Get ready. It's happening again." Because remember last season when Carson Wentz went out, and Nick Foles pretty much led the charge for the Eagles.
So here's the question. How do you have a quarterback who is extremely gifted and extremely talented, but your questionable backup somehow manages to run the offense more efficiently?
And not only that, I feel that because, I mean, all right, look at the Eagles. Their number one wide receiver is Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, their leading receiver overall is Zach Ertz. But I feel with Nick Foles in there, it opens the game up more for Alshon Jeffrey. I feel that the passing game opens up a lot better with Nick Foles out there on the field. I mean, I don't care how y'all feel about it, but I feel the offense does run a lot smoother with Nick Foles out there than with Carson Wentz. With Carson Wentz being a little younger, this is only, I want to say, his third season. So there's still some holes in this game, and he still has room for improvement. I mean, Nick Foles, he's more seasoned than him, and Nick Foles has, a lot more knowledge of the game than he does. And so I feel like Nick Foles out there with his experience, I feel he runs the offense a lot more smoother, and he runs the offense with a little more style and grace, if you know what I mean.
So do you keep Nick Foles? He's a free agent after the year.
Honestly, with Nick Foles, I mean, the level that he plays, I mean, and his teammates, they all commend him for how much of a team player he is, how unselfish he is, and how competitive he is, and how hard he works. And so, honestly, you got Carson Wentz, who, I mean, you drafted your first round draft pick that you got out of an FCS school in North Dakota State. Don't get me wrong, North Dakota State is one of the most dominant teams in the country that I've ever seen. But I digress from that. Carson Wentz is pretty much the face of your franchise. He is your franchise quarterback. With Nick Foles, why keep him and just make him a complete backup to where he can make more of an impact going to a team as the bona fide starter, going to a team that actually needs a starting quarterback for the long run, for the future.
Yeah, he did try to go away from Philadelphia once before. I want to say it was to the Rams, but that was under Jeff Fisher, who can't teach a quarterback anything. But if you're Nick Foles, do you sign with someone else and take that shot at a starting job again, or do you say, you know what? I got it good here. I know the offense. I know we have a good team. I'm going to get a chance to start at the end of the year because, I mean, that's the current trend.
Yeah, if you look at how Carson Wentz been getting banged up.
I mean, that's what happened. And last year, Carson Wentz goes down. Nick Foles steps in, leads him to the Super Bowl.
Well, I think it all depends on how much longer is Nick Foles willing to stay in the league? How much longer is he willing to keep playing? Now, if he don't see himself playing for like maybe another year or two, I say stay in Philadelphia. You got it good. You know the offense. You got a relationship with these guys. You got a relationship with the coaching staff. You get a chance to teach Carson Wentz. You know, you want to give him more diamonds of wisdom before you leave, before your time is up. And so, I mean, I'll say in Philadelphia. Now, if he sees himself staying for like another 5 to 6 years, then I think it's time for him to go to a team and be that starter to where he can kind of revitalize the team's offense, to where he can bring all his good attributes to a locker room that truly needs a guy of his leadership.
Yeah. I don't know. It should be interesting. See what he ultimately ends up doing. I know I said wrap up the NFL, but there's just one more thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
How about them Browns, dude?
I gotta say, the departure of Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley, best thing that happened to the Browns, because Baker Mayfield has been on fire. He's been setting on fire, and them Browns are in contention for the playoffs. They're still in the hunt.
They're still in the hunt. It's a very long shot, but still, they're still in the hunt.
I mean, if you want to take it a little further, there's still someone in the. I want to say they're still in the hunt, maybe for a division title, maybe.
Yeah, but that would require.
That would require Pittsburgh losing out.
Baltimore losing at least once, and then
it's doable. I mean, Pittsburgh
and then the Browns winning out, and then winning the division by result of having a tie.
So it would have to result in, like, as far as the share.
If the Browns win out and Baltimore loses one, they will still have the tiebreaker despite having the same exact number of wins. They will have one less loss.
You know, I don't even want to just think about that scenario. That's just confusing. But still, like even the Browns, even the Browns don't make the playoffs, we have to commend the turnaround that Greg Williams has put into this Browns team, and I think the Browns have found their head coach.
It's very possible, and it's actually exciting to watch the Browns now.
Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's to the point to where now, say if the Browns beat you, I mean, we're not going to give you much crap for it because the Browns are actually, they're legitimately a team now.
So, also, another thing was Browns first went over the Denver Broncos since 1990.
That's 28 years. How you go 28 years without beating a team? That's Lord.
Okay, college bowl games. Let's talk a little bit about bowl games. I haven't watched too many. I've tuned into a few of them.
I haven't seen a lot. I mean, a lot of these like group of 5 teams going at it. What surprised me was Utah State versus North Texas, considering the type of year North Texas had, and considering the type of defense they have, going against a tough Utah State team.
And it's the bowl games have not been very competitive so far.
Like Tulane and UL Lafayette, in-state rivals going at it in Florida.
In Florida, that was funny. It's like
Utah State and North Texas.
They destroyed North Texas.
Now there was a good close game that I actually watched the second half.
I did. I know where we're going. Georgia Southern versus Eastern Michigan,
and that game went down to the final kick, and it was
the final.
And Georgia Southern, this is only their second or third year in the FBS.
Yeah, and already a 10-win season.
And a bowl victory under their belt, and just their head coach has really turned around this program.
And that's interesting to me because you have Georgia Southern and also the other team that blew out their opponent, Appalachian State.
Both teams came from the FCS.
Well, there's numerous teams that did, but these teams they've come up recently within less than 5 years, and they're already hitting the streets running. I mean, Appalachian State almost beat. I mean, came within a field goal. I want to say, or no, they lost by a touchdown, but they almost beat Penn State to open the season. It's not
that they win the Sun Belt, which
Georgia Southern 3 years ago goes into
Gainesville, Florida, and knocks off the Gators without passing the ball, without a single passing yard.
But they didn't just beat Florida; they destroyed them.
I thought that was a close game.
Was it?
I mean, I knew Georgia Southern had put up like almost 500 yards of rushing and didn't put up a single yard passing the ball.
Okay, so they destroyed them on their defense. I thought it was a blowout, but okay, if you say it was a close game, I'll take your word for it. But I just remember the 400+ yards rushing without a single pass, or if they did have a pass, it was like for 5 yards or something like that.
And it's just these teams are all on an incline. I mean, do you see any possibility of them like within the next 10 years? Maybe going into a Power 5 conference, maybe?
I don't know. We'll see. They are talking about conference expansion or shuffling up again.
They're also talking about maybe expansion of the playoffs.
Expanding the playoffs, which I think they do need. They have 4 teams, but I always just you look at teams around the country, and the last 4 years, there's always been at least one, and arguably two or 3 teams that get left out of the playoffs that should have had a chance, but don't. It's like any given year, there are going to be more than 4 teams that could potentially win a national championship. Now, this year, I think Bama is the best, and I think Clemson is the second best.
And we're going to have a Clemson and Alabama part, 4?
Yeah, they've met 3 out of the 4 years.
Yeah, because they met the first 2 years. They met in the national championship game.
Well, no. It was year 2 and year 3.
Year 2. Like I said, the first 2 times they met up, they met in the national championship game.
Oh, okay. You're talking.
The third time they met up in the semifinals, and then this year they're most likely going to meet up in the national championship game, unless Notre Dame just goes out there guns blazing against this tough Clemson team led by Trevor Lawrence.
And, like I said it before, I'll say it again, I do not feel that Oklahoma has even the slightest bit of hope defensively to stop Alabama.
Oh, no, because Oklahoma doesn't have a defense. I mean, honestly, Oklahoma, just out of respect for Oklahoma and just due to the fact that they do have a powerful offense, they're going to get their shots in. I mean, one way or another. It won't be a lot because they're going against probably the most talented defense in the nation, led by Quentin Williams, Mac Wilson, Dylan Moses. I mean, Alabama's going to make more stops. Oklahoma's going to get their shots in. I mean, you're going against Kyler Murray, the most talented QB in the nation. But I feel that when it's strength and power, Bama's going to overpower them in the end.
Well, yeah. They lost to Georgia by 10 points last year, and considering who they are going up against here, I will say 17-20 would be a good spread.
That's okay.
You know,
I was thinking maybe anywhere between 10-14, honestly.
No, I mean they lost to Georgia by 10 last year, and I think
they lost. I think they lost to Georgia by like 3. They went to overtime.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean I do believe the game will be decided in regulation.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be decided in regulation, but I feel it's going to take. I feel Bama's going to put together a really strong fourth quarter to knock off Oklahoma. I mean Oklahoma, they're going to hang with Alabama. But I just feel that Bama's just going to overpower them.
Yeah. See, Fresno State was the other team. They beat Arizona State 31-20. And the current game going on is UAB is up 24-10 on Northern Illinois.
I got to say, I'm very impressed with UAB. This is on their second season back since their football program got shut down a few years ago.
Right.
And they're already Conference USA champs, and they're already at 10. They're 10-3 right now. And so, I mean, I'm sending peace, love, and happiness to their UAB football program. I mean, big ups to them and how they came out after their program being wrongfully shut down, honestly. I mean, if you did your research and look at the situation, you would think, yeah, that program's kind of messed up.
You got a few bowl games coming up. See, well, Thursday's the next one. Is there another one later tonight? No. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is tomorrow. San Diego State versus Ohio. I don't know too much about either of those teams. The next one that I do know something about is Marshall versus South Florida, and neither of those teams had much of a defense.
It's going to be a bunch of offense in that game.
It's going to be a lot of offense for that game.
Memphis and Wake Forest is going to be no. I take it back. Houston and Army.
Houston and Army.
That's going to be a good one.
I like that matchup. I also like Hawaii and Louisiana Tech.
Which Hawaii, they're a 1-point favorite in that game.
Are they? Just 1 point?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, 1 point favorite. I guess they're expecting a lot of points.
Houston and Army is actually a favorite in that game, and rightfully so. Army has a suffocating defense, only holding Navy to 10 points in the Army-Navy game. Army is superior, so if y'all got a problem with it, y'all know where to find me. But anyways, they have one of the best. They have one of the best rushing attacks in the nation, and these guys. A lot of these guys, they go on to be Army officers. They go on to active duty. And it's just, football has been kind of their escape over the past few years. I mean, these guys, they are passionate about what they do. They love what they do. And we're going to see, I mean, there's a winning culture now in this Army football program.
Also, you forget that Army actually took Oklahoma into overtime.
Oh, I mean, I was going to get there until you kind of told me that. But, yeah, Army did actually. So you're looking at – so don't sleep on this Army team. So their head coach really got them in the right direction. I'm excited for what they're going to be doing next season.
Yeah. Also, let's see. This is next Wednesday. California versus a rather disappointing TCU team.
TCU, I had a lot of expectations for them going into this season, but it just seemed like they started off strong, and then they just hit a complete downhill spiral.
This was not a performance from your typical Chris Peterson or Patterson game. No, Gary Patterson. Excuse me. I get Gary Patterson and Chris Peterson mixed up.
I had the first name kind of fuzzy in my head too, so you're not alone.
Well, for the longest time, TCU and Boise State were kind of like back and forth as like far as like that team on the outside looking in that was, championship worthy and all that. So I mean, both coaches have done really well at their respective programs. Of course, Peterson went on to coach at Washington, and look what he's done there.
I mean, well. Yeah, with Boise State, I was doing kind of tag on that. Boise State's not gonna get the respect they deserve until they go into the Power 5.
I don't know. I mean, well, Boise State hasn't either been the same team without Chris Peterson as their head coach.
Which is also true. I mean, Chris Peterson, I mean, Boise State was able to hang with anybody.
Yeah, sorry, like after James Franklin left Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I mean, he had Vanderbilt at 9-3, competing for the SEC East, and in bowl games routinely.
And look at Vanderbilt. Now look at you.
Which they're not a bad team. They're still not a bad team.
They're not a bad team.
I
It's
mean,
just that, like I said about Vanderbilt, they have a team that can compete in the SEC East. They have a team that can compete with some of the best teams in the nation. I mean, they took Florida to the limit. And,
well, it comes to they have a really good offense. It's their defense that has been shady and suspect at times.
I mean, and that's been Vanderbilt's Achilles heel.
Yeah,
But
so,
I mean, but we still got a long bowl season to go. I mean, it's gonna go by fast and furious, and we're gonna definitely keep y'all updated on it.
yeah. All right. Well, that's been this episode of Let's Talk Football. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, you join us next week. Find us on YouTube now. Officially, we're doing video. May not be the best quality video, but we'll work on that.
Trust the process.
Anyway, find us on Twitter at AI3. Facebook, we have our own website, AISportsNetwork.com, and all that bag of random goodiness.
And if you don't find us, we gonna find you.
Okay. Anyway,
Just playing with y'all. Not gonna do that.
I'm John Barron.
I'm Joshua Perkins.
Thanks for tuning in. Signing out.
Signing out.
Let's talk football.